Okay, so adjusting Koehler settings or Koehler alignment on the microscope. So what you have is a couple features that we're going to be playing with. Obviously your focus, your regular focus here, but also focusing the condenser rack here. There's a knob on both sides right here under the stage, kind of in back. And this moves that whole thing up and down like that. See that? So now we want to make sure that that's properly focused, and then we'll also do an alignment of it, getting it into the center so that the light is coming properly straight up and hitting right in the center of that objective lens. The other thing is this piece down here. This wheel is your field diaphragm, and we want to be able to open and close that. And I'll show you the image on the screen, what we're actually doing. But first, let me make sure that the image is in focus as best as I can for whatever it is. You can adjust your lighting and intensity on the screen, or I usually do this in the eyepieces. I'm not doing it on the screen, but for you to see, we'll do it on the screen. We'll show you the screen while I'm doing it in the eyepieces. So, got it lined up, or in focus, and now I want to close the field aperture, which again is this one here, down here. And I'm going to close that down all the way. And you can start to see as I'm closing it, this is what's happening. Opening and closing. And I can see that the light's not centered, right? So this should be either a centered piece or filling the whole field of view with light. So this is with the aperture, again, the field diaphragm closed completely. You can see what I'm doing here. You can kind of see the screen in the background as I change it. Okay, so I got it closed. And now I'm going to go to that focusing of the condenser right here, this knob back here. And I'm going to move that up and down until I get those leaves very sharp on the screen. And it's doing like an autocorrect too for the lighting, so I have to turn that off. So what I'm gonna do is show you the screen, but I'm gonna do it in the eyepieces where I'm used to doing it. That's where you should really see it. So right here is perfect. And let me turn the auto off so that we can actually see what I'm looking at. Oops. So this is what I see in the eyepieces. Sorry about that. See how it's nice and crisp edges. This is not crisp. And you can see when you go a little further, and actually the condenser stops if I move it all the way up. I've already got it, when I installed it, I have it in a locked position so that it actually stops at the correct position. So that's good. All you have to do is basically just drive the condenser straight up until it stops. And it'll stop right there. Okay? Now, what do you notice? That it's off center, right? It's not even close. So now we have to take another tool, your red-handled tool, which is a 3mm Allen wrench. And down here under the stage, there are these two screw holes right here and over on the other side, right here. So we have to adjust those as we're watching the image on the screen or wherever, or through the eyepieces. Of course, like I said, it's best to do it through the eyepieces. And see, so I'm just turning the screw and it's moving the circle down. Now I want to move it over, so I have to take the screw out that side and move it over to this side. It's easier if you have two tools. I think you only get one with the scope, which is a little weird, but they all seem to do it that way. So now I want to move it over this way and then back up again. So I'll switch sides again. Let's see if I can get it up and then move it back over to the other side. So you do a lot of switching back and forth with these, trying to get it to the middle. That's why if you have two screws or two tools, it's easier. Down, and there we go. I actually got it. So that looks like about right there. Let me check in the eyepieces real quick. And yep, it looks good. So now the final thing, so we have it centered and focused on the outer edges are nice and crisp. And you'll see if you move it out of focus that it's not crisp anymore. And so now we're gonna go back to the field diaphragm, this one, and open that up. And I'll show you what it looks like on the screen. So as I open it back up, you can kind of see that it's still staying centered nicely on the image. And in the eyepieces, when I get to, if you look in the eyepieces, because now the screen is filled up, so there's nothing for you to see there, but in the eyepieces, it's not filled up all the way. So I'll continue to move that circle out to the edges, and if I have to do any little fine adjustment now, I can really see it on the edge of that field in there. I don't know if you can see that in there. Yeah, that's never gonna work. So, basically you just open it all the way up, make sure that's any fine tuning of the adjustment screws down here, and then open the field diaphragm all the way back up again. And that's your Koehler alignment. So then you're all set to do bright field and phase contrast imaging.